5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okie dokie, welcome to the third comic maker interview with TTV. Today, we are going to be interviewing famed comic making veteran of about 5 or 6 years, Lavaside Rahi.
Thank you.
All right.
And then we have Tom and Mir and Kahi and me. Hi. Okay, so let's cut to the cheese here. Oh yeah, Tom's not here, he's just recording. Okay, so, Kahi, do you wish to ask the first question or what?
Okay, sure. All right. Like we always do, we'll start at the very beginning of their thing of BZP. What made you join BZPower and also the comics forum?
Oh, let's see. I joined BZPower back in January 2004. So right when the Metro Nui storyline was starting up, and I joined just because I really liked Bionicle. And I'd already been looking at BZPower for like the Bionicle news. I found about the forum, and so yeah, that's why I joined. I didn't find out about the comics until like maybe 4 or 5 months later. And but the comics, it was really like a love at first sight kind of thing. It was who was it? It was there was this one series in particular. The guy like hasn't been around for like years, but back then he was called Congo, and the series was called Congo's Comics. And so if you look at by the standards of today, they're like really childish.
Yeah.
In fact, I think even by the standards of 6 years ago, they were pretty childish. But I think one of the things that appealed to me about it was that it was really obvious that they were done with MS Paint. And I knew how to use MS Paint, but I didn't know what to do with it. And seeing that made me realize, like, oh yeah, I could do comic. I can make comics. Because I'd always loved comic. I grew up with, like, Calvin and Hobbes and with Tintin. And I just love comics. So yeah, it was just like instant no-brainer. Yeah.
So let's see.
Sorry if that was too long-winded.
No, yeah, exactly the sort of thing we want, actually. So let's see. You joined way back in 2005, was it? No, 2004.
January 13th, 2004.
So yeah, so you're considered one of the veterans on this side. I think you're one of the oldest ones that's currently active right now, actually, if I'm not mistaken. What has inspired you to keep going through like all this time? It's been during like 5 years. Some people sort of move away or just drift off of BZPower. But what has kept you on BZPower and making comics for this entire time?
I honestly have no idea. Really, the comics are the only thing keep me on BZPower at this point, actually, because I've lost my interest in Bionicle. I guess it was just I just really liked making comics, and I guess I guess it was more it was allowing the comics to kind of mature along with me kept my interest in it. So obviously they became less and less and less about Bionicle as time went on. So they were very adaptive to my needs and to my tastes.
So, with many of your characters, I think the most famous would be Larry and Terry, but you also have, like the Ultimatorn and all these others. What would you say some of your primary inspirations for them would be?
Larry and Terry would be just that there's so many great duos in all kinds of comedic rook and serious rook. I think really obvious inspirations for Larry and Terry were like Thompson and Thompson from Tintin.
Yes. Oh yeah.
I think in some regards Calvin and Hobbes. Just that just the way the duo rooks. Although Calvin Hobbes, they're like opposite personalities, but they still work well together, which is different. But I think Fred and George from Harry Potter was actually a major inspiration, though it took me a long time to figure that one out. But if you think about it, it makes a lot of sense. I mean, they're pranksters who are also really
Yeah.
insanely smart. Um, so yeah, and then I started incorporating other things. So like the two hitmen from Pulp Fiction. I did a little thing on that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Trying to think about Ultramatorin. I think when I started, I just thought it'd be really cool to have a superhero in my comics, but like a
Yeah.
really like comically arrogant one.
So
Um,
sort of breaking that sort of mold of all those noble heroes and all that. Just
right.
Well, he didn't fall to the Kakamas.
No, he was just eaten by them.
Well, can't add it. Oh well. Speaking of inspirations, uh, did you ever have kind of like an inspiration on the comic form or elsewhere that got you actually started into, just comics as a whole?
He
Or
already answered that.
yeah.
He already answered that at the
Oh.
beginning.
Well, well,
Oh.
well. Koga was really kind of only an inspiration in the sense of like the idea of making comics in the first place. As far as like humor goes, geez, just a lot of pop culture stuff, SpongeBob, Calvin Hobbes, obviously,
Yeah.
and then some other things came from like Dark Zone '09. So the idea of making a movie that was like totally off of Dark Zone '09.
Dark Zone
So
9? Dark Zone 9?
LJ, don't have an aneurysm.
Again.
Okay, continue.
yeah, it was, yeah. And obviously, the influences changed a lot as time went by because, I kept, getting older. So,
Yeah.
so then I started borrowing from darker works. Lord of the Rings, obviously, is huge in my movie, almost embarrassingly so. Uh, yeah.
So yes, yeah, if you on your movie, what was the, I guess what was one of your not, what inspired you to start making the movie, and how far did you get on it?
Let's see. Well, seeing Dark Zone 9 make his movie was kind of the initial inspiration because it just seemed like such a really awesome concept. The thought of like taking all my characters and putting them in some epic tale. Um, Story wise, obviously, Lord of the Rings had a lot to do with it. I guess what do you mean? Like, how far did I get through it? Like, what are you looking for there?
Um, yeah, I think I just, how long was your movie, like, as a total? How long did it take you to make?
Uh, I think it was like 5 years.
What?
Wow.
Yeah, yeah.
That's pretty
I
intense.
I didn't really start out with a good plan in mind, so and
Yeah.
about midway through, I kind of actually got kind of bored of the story because I actually had it planned out in mind, and then it started seeming kind of stale. But I still managed to finish it, so I'm glad about that.
Yeah, I finished watching
Took
it
an
actually.
insanely long time.
I got a question.
Go for it.
Okay.
Whatever happened to Ellie? How you pronounce her name? Lay or Vi? Or what?
Lady Hervé.
Yeah,
Hervé?
Hervé.
Hervé,
Yeah, what
yeah.
happened to her? She just disappeared during the last season or something like that.
Yeah, she's not on BZPower much anymore. I don't know why. I guess she just grew out of it. At the point where I didn't really have much input from her on what to do with her character, because I mean, really, just about any comic with her in it, like, was basically scripted by her. Like, she came up with all the ideas for her and her two brothers. And so once she wasn't on Basic Power anymore, I just really didn't have any ideas for her in the comics. So
You say her two brothers. What, you mean the two Matoran who were obsessed with coffee and Kanohimas?
yeah,
Oh
K
my
A
gosh.
JP Hyper.
Oh
Oh.
my gosh, I feel so sorry for that poor girl. To have siblings like that. Ugh.
Oh, oh, the coffee there. That'd be really nice. So, let's see. You currently just finished your long time running series. Yeah, it ran about for around 5 years, I think, before it got it just recently got closed down in the last month or so. So let's see, what prompted you to sort of not completely stop making comics, but to end the series?
Uh, wow. I've been planning to have an end to the comic series for an insanely long time, and it's really weird to be on the other side of the finale now, just because I've been thinking about this for so long. But I think I first got the idea when I was doing the movie. Actually, I think it was about halfway through the movie, kind of around the part where Super Kid and Lady Irve get killed off.
Mm,
At that point, I had the rest of the movie planned out, so I knew where it was going to go. But since I had the rest of it planned out, I started to get a little bored with it. So I came up with this other story. And originally, it was going to be like a second movie. It was going to be like even more epic and dark than the first one.
mm,
And the idea kept changing, but there was some common themes, like that'd be set in BC Metro. So it'd be like a transition from wilderness to city. And but yeah, like I kept working at it, and it got really detailed, and it got like really dark. Like there were kind of references to the Dark Knight and to Cowboy Bebop and some other books in there.
wow.
Like there's could be a thing where like I think the idea I eventually settled on was that there's could be this oncoming army who had agents in the BC Metro government who were wreaking havoc, and all everyone from my cast had to go underground, and the police were chasing us, and then there's a
Yeah.
war, and then Leva, my wife in the series, gets killed, and Lady and Terry get killed, and then I go into a descent in madness, and then I at the end I get killed, but I have that one redemptive moment at the end, like Darth Vader.
I
Wow.
swear, anyone listening to this um,
I would
interview
love
who
it if someone would take this idea and just do it for me. That'd be really
that
cool because this is a
that
really
Mm-hmm.
awesome idea.
Ah,
Yeah.
Um, it is
if you
super
ask
epic.
me, if you ask me, I'm really glad you didn't go down that route. That's
Well,
scary.
I that
I actually like the premise though. Your premise of everyone being hunted and a giant cop chase and all this stuff. Yeah, it's actually
Guy,
sounds pretty
something's
awesome.
wrong with you.
I swear, and any really really dedicated and big fan of your series, LR, I'm pretty sure they're crying right now because they know that would be so amazing, and it'd be the
it,
Yes.
most
it was mind blowing.
drastic and dark thing in the comic form.
It'd be a
Would
great
It,
ending, yeah, but really
Yeah.
dark.
it would have been mind blowing. But yeah, at some point, at some point, it's a good idea. It's a good thing that the movie took forever for me to finish because so I could never get on this because at some point it did strike me. This is a really bad idea because I'm ending this
Yeah.
comedic series. Like, there are kids who look at this series. Like
Yeah. No. No.
I
Yeah.
can't
Exactly.
Yeah.
I can't kill off Larry and Terry. So
No.
so
Yeah. That would make a big change for the series.
yeah. So finally I settled on the thing where like, okay, it's gonna be shorter. It could still be set in BC Metro, it'd still be mature, more mature than my movie,
Yeah.
but it can at least have a happy ending. And
Yeah.
I think Wes Anderson, who's like my favorite filmmaker, like of all time, his works were like a huge influence on the finale series because all this stuff like it can be really funny and really sad and really
Yeah.
inspiring all at the same time. And if you're familiar with Royal Tenenbaums or Fantastic Mr. Fox or The Life Aquatic
Yeah.
with Steve Zissou, you can see references to those movies kind of buried in the finale series. So
Yeah. That
that
movie.
was kind of the feeling I want to end with, and I'm really happy with how it turned out. So.
Yeah. No, while we're on that finale, which is um, I think during the ending, some people thought that you're going to have some sort of like epic war or like a giant war or something, but instead you took it and you actually made it that some like a story that focused mainly on the characters,
Right.
which was in my opinion one of the best stories ever made by the time it was done. But so
Thank you.
what motivated you to instead do some instead of giant climax or but have it focus on the characters with have all this character development and
Uh,
what inspired you to take that route?
Mainly laziness and a realization that I can't animate very well. um, Because yeah, I mean, at some point, I mean, it took me so long to finish the movie. I just at some point I realized I can't do another gigantic, huge project. Yeah, so that was kind of the initial thing. And yeah, once I decided that I don't want to do something that's super depressing and dark. I thought it'd be fun to do something that's um, more self reference like with the characters actually being comic makers within the storyline, having retired within the storyline. I thought that'd be a cool twist.
Yeah.
So
Need this,
Oh, I quickly got one. This
okay.
is completely different from what we've been asking you so far, but where did you come up with the name Lavaside Rahi?
Oh, yeah.
when I first joined, and I'm not sure what the idea behind that was actually. Gosh, I think, oh man, I think there was an idea that, oh, okay, I want like Rahi in my name somewhere, like I want to be some kind of Rahi, and then I guess I thought like Riverside, and I turned that into Lavaside. I have no idea. It was like, let's see, if it's 2011, right? That's 7 years ago. So
Wow.
7 years ago now. Oh
I
gosh.
so I have no idea what I was thinking at the time, but yeah.
Yeah.
But like by lava side, I meant like by the side of a lava stream, I think. So yeah, I have no idea what I was thinking. But
Maybe you tried to put in lava surf, or
that
I
might
don't
be it.
know. I don't know. That's
like
yeah.
Tohotahu, surfing on lava. Woohoo!
Oh
Yeah,
yeah. Number one novice surfer and all that. But
makes sense.
okay.
Like it sounds more extreme that way, You're around
Yeah.
the side of the lava. I don't know.
I think of a tequila shark riding in on a lava wave. That was so funny.
Okay, so I think one of the great things about your comics is that it's always been completely made with paint,
Hmm.
like all the way through. You didn't transition to GIMP or anything like that. How has it worked for you? Using the paint and why have you decided to stick with it for so
Really
long?
well. Let's see. I think initially I stuck with it just because I was lazy and didn't really. There's also that slight fear of trying something new
Yeah,
um, that you're unfamiliar with. So initially that was it. Was just like laziness. Um, but then later it became more about for me it was more about showing that you could do a bit more with such a basic program that a lot of people thought, which is where I started doing like more drawings, more background stuff. And then eventually it just got to the point where once I realized I was like the only guy using the razor kit and paint, it became a point of pride.
That
yeah,
um,
was your thing.
Yeah, that was my thing. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so you'd be like the one guy, like all you sellouts who went to Chimoru. I stuck to my principles.
yeah.
Uh,
Ah,
I guess it was also kind of a sign that I was never really concerned with the look of the comics. I was always way more concerned with the story and the jokes. So
yeah.
yeah, I just never really thought about it all that much.
See, yeah. When you joined, was this is sort of a question for me since I wasn't around them, but was Razor the only comic kick back then, or was
No, there was Reg, which is the one that the editorialist used.
okay?
Uh, although
Oh,
he used Razor
I
for a
miss the
while too.
editorials.
you never knew the
There's
editorialist. Go on, sorry.
that's okay. There was the Chibi kit.
RZ?
Yeah,
Oh
RZ.
God, RC.
There was the plushie kit, which was really more of a fad
Oh
than
yeah, I
anything
remember
else.
that one.
Oh boy.
But
I remember hearing stories about this plushie invasion on BZPower. Just everybody suddenly started having plushies and avatars or something like that.
so
Yeah,
yeah, the Razor definitely wasn't the only kit. But there were definitely fewer comic makers. Like it was still all in one form. Um,
yeah.
and Dark Zone of Nine hadn't emerged yet. Like, he and I got started right about the same time. Yeah, I think his comics really kind of encouraged a whole bunch of other people to use Racer. And then when he created Shimoru Kit, there was a bunch of there was the movement to Shimoru.
So yeah, after being in art trade for so long, would you say that it is changed, and if so, how so? And do you think it's for the good, or for it just for the bad?
Like, have the comics changed? Like, the comics form?
Yeah.
Um, I think it's definitely changed. But I wouldn't say necessarily bad or good. But I would say there's a bit more emphasis on graphics than when I started. That's not to say that writing has suffered. In fact, if anything, it seems like the writing has matured because there's like almost no new BZPower members these days now that Bionicle's stopped.
Yeah,
So it's like almost all people who've been around for a while. So I think the writing has definitely matured. It's more. I think the fact that there's now a form for comics
yeah,
rather than when I started, that did a lot to kind of really make the whole comic community more coherent as a whole,
yeah.
more obvious. So it's easier to spot trends and trends and new things going around today than it was when I started.
Yeah, let's see. Have you done any other projects on VZ Power besides comics?
Uh, a while ago, I was doing I've done various things. I did a couple of comedies a while back.
Comedies.
They suck. But I was doing that for a little while. I did a few stories.
Yeah.
There was that short story contest, the one about make a story about the Matoran on Matanui. Like
Oh,
long
yeah, I remember that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, whatever that was. I did a story for that. Actually placed pretty high actually, which is cool. Uh yeah, I used to be pretty active on BC Power, but now I just do comics.
Yeah.
There's
So,
other comic projects, like there's the Comic Line files and there's the
yeah.
Advent calendar,
Oh,
obviously.
yes.
Yes. I remember that.
Not to mention, I believe you might remember this 4-3 Kakamas.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. We never did anything with that though, which kind of sucked. But well, I did animate a bit of Baraka's movie, but he never finished that, so that never really went anywhere. But
Mhm.
Yeah.
that would have been cool if we could have actually gotten stuff done.
That was like one of the first few actual quote unquote comic continuities that was around. Because nowadays you see a
Yeah.
bunch of comic continuities like the Western Isles and the International Comic Continuity, the NCG or NGC or whatever the Kazani it's called.
I wouldn't say
Yeah.
we were one of the first. I think there were other comic continuities when we did that. It wasn't really a continuity per se. It was more just that we were all permanent guest stars in each other's comics, and we all knew each other. I mean, it was
Mm.
really informal.
Yeah.
We didn't like collaborate on stories or anything. So, and yeah, I wouldn't say we were one of the first. I think there were people doing that back then.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, let's see. Back on this thing you did, Comic Maker Files. Um, how did let's see. What made you start that, and why did what happened to it?
I started it just because I thought it'd be really cool uh, to have interviews with comic makers, like just to kind of capture this idea of this comic community and how they're celebrities essentially, like Dark Zone Nine and the editorial list when I was doing this, and it just struck me like it'd be really cool if there was like publications almost talking about what other comic makers were doing. But instead of a publication, I thought, what if we did interviews? And yeah.
So
Yeah.
comics form.
I think you asked the question, but I forgot what it was on top of it. It was, why'd I start? And then I think
there was what happened to it after a while? I mean, so did it just stop, or
yeah, I kind of stopped. I think I think one of the things that happened is I really overcomplicated it. Oh man, I had this kind of weird grand vision for it. I think where I hired a bunch of new interviewers, and then there was going to be some backup guys, so that in case the interviewers couldn't finish their interviewers, the backup guys could take over. There's going to be a guy who was going to assign the interviews, so no one overlap. So it's gonna be this big, huge staff thing. And then when I tried to put that into action, no one made any interviews. So I really did have a tendency to really overcomplicate things. I think that in a lot of ways kind of killed it. I took all the fun out of it. And also I think some people just got bored of the idea. Just got kind of bored with it, because now that we'd interviewed all the really big ones, that kind of took some of the interest out of it. But yeah, I think it was mostly me overcomplicating everything. It was a learning experience at least, which I think it made the character work much better because I didn't overcomplicate it this time.
Yeah.
As far
if anything, you guys want to start it up again, that'd be awesome.
It sounds like an interesting idea.
Maybe we can get a bunch of comic makers. We'll interview them here, and we'll convert it to almost a comic status.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. Let's see. On your latest project, the Advent Calendar, who I think everybody here was a part of, right? Yeah, LJ Mir.
Yep.
Yeah.
Except for Tom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hi, Tom. Sorry.
Yeah, just play with your toys, man. Anyhow.
Poor Tom.
Yes. What inspired you to start that, and how long did it take to organize to get everything ready and get all these people PM sent and everything?
I think the idea really just hit me. It just fell into my lap a couple weeks before December started, right around Thanksgiving. And I think it was just this idea of gosh, it'd be really cool to do an advent calendar of comics. But I thought, okay, but now I'm retired now, so it wouldn't make much sense for me to do this. I thought, oh, what if everyone made a comic? Yeah, it just fell into my lap all of a sudden. It was aha, got it. And so I just picked a bunch of people who who seemed to be really active, and just went from there. That was important that they were active, because it'd been really cool if Dark Zone 9 or Super Kid could have made a comic, but I've had too much experience with them. I know that it was unlikely for them to get done on time.
Yeah. Arc with Freeform is full of procrastinators.
Oh yeah, and not Kahinuva though. Oh no, never.
Yeah, I've never just waited several months to release a comic.
Yeah, no. Yeah, it's funny though. Yeah, but the Advent Calendar turned out to be probably one of the biggest comic form community things that's ever been accomplished and finished, and only one comic maker out of the 25 you asked did not make.
I know, New Cover Rocks.
Yeah,
that blew me because that guy does a daily comic. He was the last guy I was expecting to not get his comic done on time.
Yeah, it's ironic because he was making his comic and I was microphoning with him. Me and Kahi were. Yeah, and he was making his comic and it was 3 a.m. in the morning for him, and he was
me and NR pulled an all-nighter the night before our comic was supposed to be released. We just sat up all night and just mic'd together, and it was
I think there were a bunch of people. There were a bunch of people who got theirs in just in the nick of time, and there was no backup comics to run on, so it was totally. I mean, it's kind of amazing. I was just wow, we actually got at least one comic out every day.
Yeah.
that was the main thing that kind of that was annoying about it, was just because you kept kind of to kind of push certain people to like pick certain to commit to certain days,
Yeah.
just so I could be sure that there was going to be a comic that day.
Mhm.
But right about like the middle of the month, there was like a whole wave of new comics, and so I was able to just relax and just be like, okay, whenever you guys want.
You know what was really amazing?
What?
From what
What?
you said, we had 32 comic makers participate in that thing. You said it was a new record. I can't wait to see next year.
32?
Yeah.
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 Because
Well,
more people
31
did.
if you don't include New Power Rocks.
Sorry, NR.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Hey, he
Yeah.
still did one. It just didn't show up in the calendar.
He was like half done. He was like, I don't know, it was 4 o'clock in the morning for him, and he just fell asleep at his laptop actually, because I remember we were miking with him, and then suddenly he just stopped responding. So yeah, he fell
There's
asleep.
always next year.
Yeah, so he couldn't. That's why he couldn't finish his comic, I think.
I don't hold it against him or anything.
Well, I guess you could
Yeah.
say, with all the comic makers coming through, it was a Christmas miracle. Okay.
Nah.
You
Okay,
lame.
that was.
Aw.
Wow.
Dang it.
Oh, dang. No.
Not again. Oh well.
Oh well. Yeah.
Can't wait to see how next year will turn out with that thing.
Yeah.
I'm
If
scared.
there
Do you
is
have
a
any
next
plans?
one.
Yeah. Do you have any plans to repeat that, or for Christmas, or maybe for something else, or?
I know other people do.
Not. I don't have any plans to repeat that, mainly just because I'm gonna have a pretty crazy year this coming year. A bunch of personal stuff's going on. I'm probably gonna travel a whole bunch, so I doubt I'm gonna be able to do anything. But it'd be totally awesome to see if other people take it up. One thing I thought would be really cool, which we just didn't have any time for this, but I thought it'd be really cool if like more than one comic maker collaborated on the same comic, and then they could release that for like that day's comic. We just had no time to collaborate anything like that, but I kept thinking that'd be really cool. So
Well, if you count the backgrounds, me and Anar sort of collaborated. Like he made 1 or 2 backgrounds for me. So
there you go.
Sort of.
Well, hey, wait, if NR made your backgrounds, then that means he really did participate in this thing. So
yeah.
All
we could count him as 32.
Fun is so it's actually 32.
wow, that
He did a super splendid Mart, I think.
yeah, Venom, he made a comic for this as well. He recently had signed, the Civil War, which was supposed to be the biggest multi-author series. Well,
28.
that's going. It's going slowly, but it is going. But I must say that this has to be the biggest one.
Yes.
Yet,
biggest collaboration.
Because everyone pitched in, everyone got it done on time. It was pretty well, fairly mannered, truly remarkable and surprising.
I was expecting way more procrastinators. Honestly, I was amazed at the turnout.
Yeah, I was.
Because I've just been doing like some of these collaborations, and I'd always I grown to expect like half of the people to like to not be able to make anything. So it was pretty mind blowing to just how many people got their thing done on time. It was pretty cool.
We're gonna have to definitely wrap this up. So like one more question, and then the final question. Yeah, we seem to be running.
Can I put in one more question really quick?
Of course you can, Kahi.
All right. What is the status on your characters and your thing right now since you've ended your series? I mean, I think I asked this once. I don't remember if you answered it. It was in the topic. Like, are they free for use, or are they,
Yeah, they're totally free for use. My only request is that people let me know that they're going to use them, and I think what I said was I asked for that not so I could look over people's shoulder, but just so that I could kind of like follow them, because I've been working with those characters for so long, it's kind of thrilling to think of other people using them and taking them to places that I didn't have the time to do. So yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're free for anyone to use. Just drop me a message, let me know. You don't even have to tell me in advance. Just let me know at some point that you're going or you have used them.
Yeah.
That offer. Actually, but anyhow, MJ.
Okay, so final question for the evening, I believe. What would your tips, advice be for new comic makers, budding comic makers trying to get up in the ranks, or just comic makers in general in BZPower?
Originality is very important. I cannot emphasize that enough. Although, frankly, everyone starts out copying everyone else, so it takes a while for anyone to. I mean, I'm no exception there, obviously. So it takes a while to kind of to foster that originality. But yeah, try to come up with try to be original. Use good grammar, obviously. Spell the words correctly. That goes an amazingly long way. um,
Oh yes, indeed it
uh,
does.
let's see. Gosh, I wish I had something more inspiring to say here. Don't be afraid to try new things, because that's probably my biggest regret about my career, if you will. That I was often afraid to try new things. Which was initially why I didn't switch my kits. It's also kind of why I stopped animating, just because I saw some of the stuff that like Dark and Super Kid were coming out with, which is like just this mind-bogglingly good Flash Rook, and just realizing my stuff looked really childish compared to that, and I just never was willing to invest the time and patience into learning how to animate like that. So that's a big one. Be patient, and yeah, be willing to try new things, and be willing to try things that you're not sure are going to rook. Because that's something that I tried to do later on. Once I became popular, I realized I could get away with certain things that maybe I wouldn't have been able to earlier, like the finale series, or like the whole thing about having a wife in the series. I had no idea what the reaction to that was going to be. I thought maybe some people would hate it. They thought they would be cheesy, or if they would love it. So yeah, so just be willing to try lots of creative, crazy things.
Grand advice. And thank you so much for taking time to do this interview. Absolutely splendid. And to anyone, listening to the interview, even though the topic is closed, check out Lavaside Rahi and Lady
Hervé.
Hervé Comic Studios V version.
Lavaside Rahi
2.0. Yeah, version 2.0.
Does it count as a plug if the topic is closed? I mean, it's not like anyone's gonna post, right?
The comics anyways, though, they're worth seeing. Trust me.
Yeah, they're worth seeing. Absolutely splendid.
Especially the finale.
Yeah. Well, I'm LJ.
I'm Tahi.
And I'm Miraca.
Okay, and this is the Comic Maker interview thing. See you later. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, y'all.